Do 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 do. So we want to come into here. Talk to these punks. Did you know that there's a novel series aimed at youngsters about the vampire spoken of in legends? I was curious, so I ended up giving them a read myself, and they ended up being quite the page-turners. Here, take this. I'd stop short of calling it a modern classic, but I think you'll like it. Obtained Red Moon Rose Chapter 10. And thus another day comes to an end. Fortunately, it was another fine day for my son and grandchildren, too. I owe my thanks to Adios and the spirits. I just came in from the highway. The statues out there need some work done on them from time to time, you see. Hopefully that'll please the spirits. Spirit style. Books, Red Moon Rose, Chapter 10! Chapter 10, Into the Darkness. Ordinarily, the late hour was the peak of business for the Allegria Tavern. Allegra Clark style. On any other day, the chairs would be all filled with familiar faces, chattering away and enjoying food and drink, discussing the Huskers' latest loss. But tonight, not a single seat was taken. For so great was the terror of the vampire murders that none dared leave their homes. Left with nothing else to do, Luca had set about cleaning the tavern. But the task was quickly finished. She slouched at the spotless counter, thoroughly bored. There hadn't been any sign of her friend Alphonse that day. Still, considering the rumors she had heard of the Gerard team's nighttime patrols, it wasn't all that surprising. He must be really busy, she thought to herself. Still, she couldn't pretend that she wasn't disappointed by the fact. Thoughts of Alphonse weighing on her mind, she let out a gloomy sigh. The tavern's owner stopped washing cutlery on the other side of the counter and gave her a warm smile, Brandon Cutler style. Go along home for today. It's dangerous around these parts lately, so you'd best be getting back, he called. The Huskers were unable to make it to the bowl game this year, and also the past several years. Well, you gotta imagine Ben's furniture suffered for that. Just as he went to do so, however, the bell over the door chimed. A customer had entered the tavern. Luca jumped out of her chair in a panic. What she saw made her gasp. Standing in the doorway of the tavern was a young man in a blood-stained soldier's uniform. Letting out a short shriek of horror, she rushed over to the man. The uniform he had on was the same as the one worn by Alphonse, except this one had mustard stains all over it, leading her to immediately think it might be him. As she drew closer, though, she realized it wasn't. Relief washed over her. Getting a closer look at his face, Luca was startled to find that she actually recognized him. A long time ago, when Alphonse had first joined the army, he had brought the man before her with them to visit the tavern. She remembered hearing that the two of them weren't on very good terms anymore, however. His name was Elroy. The tavern's owner hurried with a first aid kit, clearly concerned, but Elroy showed no interest in him. His eyes were focused unwaveringly on Luca. "Hello, friend of Alphonse. I'm going to have to ask you to come with me," he muttered. His following smile was anything but inviting. By the time Alphonse and Rose arrived, the tavern was in a terrible state. Chairs were strewn everywhere, table lay in pieces all about the space, and the floor was covered in smashed glass and broken crockery. Clearly Ben had been through. On the other side of the counter, they found the owner, blood trickling from his temple. Calmly, Rose used the church's thaumaturgy to heal him. Its dangerous power closed his wound, and soon after, he regained consciousness. The second he did, Alphonse began to bombard him with questions. What happened here? Where's Luca? Why can't the Huskers qualify for the bowl game? He couldn't see any sign of her, and that worried him intensely. A boy in a military uniform came. No, that was no human. It was a monster. I tried to fight him off, but he took Luca. The moment he uttered Luca's name, he fell unconscious once again. Not long after, the soldiers who had been patrolling the surrounding area heard what had happened and hurried to the scene. The area soon filled with the sounds of people's voices and soldiers running up and down the streets. Even a number of the local residents had woken up and begun to gather to see what was going on. Eventually, Gerard himself arrived and set about questioning the tavern's owner and investigating the scene with a number of his subordinates. Alphonse and Rose, meanwhile, stood in the shadow of a building not far away. "Damn you, Elroy!" Alphonse cried as he punched one of the brick walls with all his might and it broke his hand and blood went everywhere. Nearby, Rose stood with her arms folded, deep in thought. "Stay calm. We have every reason to believe that Luca is still alive. And don't worry, I'm sure the Huskers will qualify for the bowl game next year." Elroy had fled to search for new blood to heal his injuries and increase his power. If he was intending to use Luca for that purpose, there was no reason to take her away. It would have been far quicker and easier to just drink her blood in the tavern. Thus it was safe to assume that he had a different purpose in mind for her. And the most likely reason seemed to be to use her to lure them somewhere. "I suspect that I know where he was headed," said Rose. She pointed down at the ground below their feet. There were mustard stains all over the brick road. During the previous day's encounter with Elroy, he had summoned a large number of ghouls out of seemingly nowhere, each of them victims without families or friends to note their absence. Elroy had been abducting them in secret and storing them somewhere for when he wanted them, and there was every reason to believe there were more. To stash them, he would need quite a sizable area, but it also had to be one where the chance of them being found would be quite low. In other words, a place that no one really went. A perfect match for both of these conditions was the local McDonald's, and possibly the network of underground passages beneath the city. The tunnels had been built during the Dark Ages several hundred years prior, and were not normally used by people. Somewhere in there, Rose theorized, Elroy was probably waiting for them. Elroy Jetson, even. Alphonse proposed that they depart immediately. After all, every second they waited increased the danger that Luca was in. Rose, however, stood silently, her eyes cast downwards. "Is something bothering you?" Alphonse asked. Her mouth tightened. "Two things, in fact. Firstly, I suspect that Elroy is what is known as an elder vampire." There were, Rose explained, several kinds of vampires. Those who were legitimate descendants of the race were known as true ancestors. The true ancestors were said to have all perished, but those who were closely related to them were known as elder vampires, and unlike true ancestors, some elder vampires still remained. Elder vampires were filled with a lust for blood every 10 or so years, and in surrendering themselves to that lust, they had been responsible for countless deaths throughout history. Drunk history, even. As a vampire hunter, therefore, they were Rose's most important targets. Furthermore, they were apparently among the most powerful of all vampires, with exceptional growth potential. As an example of this, Rose explained that when Luca was first attacked, she had been guided to a deserted area by a high-level ability called Charm. I hear you learned that at level 40, which allowed the user to control the thoughts of their victim to a certain degree. It was finding out that Luca had lost her memories of what happened when she was attacked that had first alerted Rose to the possibility that Elroy might be an elder vampire, and that was what had first led her to try to distance Alphonse from her investigation. The fact that they might be dealing with an elder vampire was only one of her concerns, however, though the other was closely related to it. The astonishing power elder vampires possess is amplified even further at night. Because of that, it should be impossible for them to be able to disguise their presence completely. And yet, in the battle against Elroy earlier, he had been able to do just that, allowing him to make his escape. It had so surprised Rose that she had missed her chance to finish them off. It's possible that he's no ordinary elder vampire, or perhaps he is something even more terrifying, she mused aloud. A Newfie fan. They had no way of telling what Elroy was truly capable of, or even what he truly was. As such, it was impossible to gauge how much danger they would be putting themselves in by following him on Twitch, especially knowing that they would be walking right into a trap. Well, she had no choice but to follow him on Twitch. She found herself questioning whether bringing Alphonse along would really be a good idea. The reservation must have been plain on her face, because Alphonse cut off her thoughts with a determined shake of the head. Rose, I've told you already that I'm not going to die. I won't let you be alone ever again. I don't care how strong our opponent is. I'm not going to go back on my word. I'm not going to get a game over screen. The resolve was clear and unwavering in his eyes. With or without her blessing, he would see it through to the end. He could not, would not, abandon someone living a life of solitude like he once did. The pure innocence of that emotion and empathy was enough to recall her own bleak loneliness. The dark feelings passed over her features like a cloud obscuring the stars. There was, after all, one other secret she had yet to part with, and that, more than anything, was the cause of her solitude. The warmth of his words almost coaxed it from her lips. So moved was she, but now wasn't the time. For the moment, his heartfelt declaration was enough for her. Their priority needed to be saving his friend. Everything else could wait. I'm sorry, she said. I thought I had overcome my hesitations, but it seemed that wasn't the case. With a mental shake of the head, she pushed her doubts deep within and slowly moved her hand downwards, towards her waist. Her fingers sought out her spare blade, an elegant longsword. Unclipping it from her belt, she handed it to Alphonse. This should serve as a replacement for that broken saber. I imagine you'll be able to fight more comfortably with this. Alphonse hefted it in his hand, admiring the balance. He slipped it a hand's width out of the scabbard for a closer look. Like Rose's other purified weapons, it had a silvery glow that seemed to suck in the light of the red moon. A blow from a blade like this would surely stop a vampire in its tracks, one-shot style. Rose had always known that the short sword she had given Alphonse was hardly the ideal weapon for him. She had done this deliberately, hoping that having an unsuitable weapon would dissuade him from trying to get actively involved in battle, and yet not once had he balked at entering the fray. With whatever resources he had at his disposal, Alphonse was always ready to jump right in. Giving him the longsword, therefore, was a sign that she now regarded him as someone worthy of trust, and an apology for underestimating him previously. Alphonse acknowledged the gift, and perhaps apology. With a nod of the head and attached the blade to his sturdy leather baldric, they regarded one another for a moment and then swore to do what needed to be done. Their mutual resolve reaffirmed, they took off into the deep darkness, earthbound style, where Luca and the vampire waited. Next to Heimdall, there flowed a great river known as the Anor. Facing out onto it was Heimdall Port, and in one corner of that port was a door that led down into an underground passage. We've actually been in there! Didn't you know? The entrance was usually locked for safety reasons, but they forced it open without much trouble and stepped inside. We had to get the key! The air within was a mixture of mold, rusting metal, and a pervasive smell of damp. Cautiously, they moved along the slick stone path, ears and eyes strained for any movement. Somebody had spilled mustard all over the side of the wall. The tunnel was connected to the river itself, and the torpid water flowed all the way into the deep darkness, further along the passage. It had been constructed during the Dark Ages, and the network of passages under the city was so vast that no one knew just how far it stretched, or exactly what lay within it. The entire area had long been abandoned. No maintenance or modernization had ever been done. To Alphonse's eye, it looked as though they were setting foot in some ancient labyrinth, untouched by time or man for hundreds of years. They proceeded deeper inside, following Elroy's trail along the waterway with only the faintest of light from the red moon, trickling through the periodic grates to illuminate their path. The scent coming from him had returned in full force, filling the air with tension as they grew closer and closer to their quarry. They proceeded cautiously and more slowly now, as even the light from the moon eventually abandoned them during their descent. The pitch darkness did not last for long, however. As they advanced, they soon started to come across torches here and there, attached at intervals along the wall. In between them were pictures of streamer Nufi Bonga, with his tongue hanging out. The glow from the flickering light was both inviting and sinister. It looked like he really had been using this place as a hideout for quite a while, Alphonse commented. He and others, Rose thought with distaste. It seemed very likely that people Elroy had abducted were somewhere around too. No sooner had the thought crossed her mind that she sensed movement. She sighed. It looks as though we're too late. The meaning of Rose's words soon became clear. Slowly but surely, a number of figures drew closer to them from ahead. They shuffled and jerked with unnatural cadence. Ghouls. While Elroy had abducted Luca without drinking her blood, it seemed as though he had used the other people he had been keeping here in her place. Alphonse couldn't help but feel a slight sense of relief when he realized that Luca wasn't among them. But that didn't prove for certain that she was still unharmed after all. All Elroy needed to do was get them to chase after him, was have them believe that there was a chance that she was still alive. As the creatures approached, it was clear that they had no time to waste. Alphonse quickly drew the longsword, while Rose already had her Templar sword and pistol in hand, ready for battle. We need to deal with these first. Fight it out. Right. Their course of action decided, they both charged into the horde of advancing ghouls. It was the first time that Alphonse had been forced to engage in actual combat with ghouls, and he found it emotionally draining. After all, the ghouls were nothing more than victims of the vampire. They hadn't chosen to have their lives taken, or to be compelled to seek to devour their fellows. It had all been forced upon them. As such, he was not fighting to kill them, but to free them. Thinking of it logically didn't do much to reduce the pain taken up his arms against another human being, though. His heart ached every time he cut one down. Rose, meanwhile, was mowing down ghouls like a scythe through the summer harvest. They were nothing more than obstacles in her way, and their shambling attacks were no match for her peerless work with the blade. No matter the speed and skill with which she dispatched them, though, more ghouls emerged from the darkness to block her path. Watching her, Alphonse couldn't help but wonder how long she had been enduring the same pain that he was feeling now. It didn't show on her face, but he remembered the tenderness with which she had handled the ghoul after defeating it on their first meeting. She was as disgusted as he with their plight. He wanted to know what had driven her to continue subjecting herself to that pain over and over again. What had driven her to the depths of solitude. But most of all, he wanted to find some way that he could be of help to her. Right now, however, all that he could do for her was to continue to fight. Shoving down the sorrow he felt with every swing of the sword that met flesh, he kept advancing forward through the massive bodies before him. Using the torches on the walls as their beacons, Alphonse and Rose hurried as best they could through the maze of passages, and bastages as well. Dozens upon dozens of ghouls obstructed their path, but they continued to carve their way forward. They advanced, but slowly, each battle taking a toll on their stamina and energy. Eventually, the path ahead of them opened, and they found themselves in a wide, spacious area. The ground here was gray and soft beneath their feet. It was earth, not stone. A number of crosses were lined up in tidy rows in the sweeping space, probably erected during the Dark Ages. Their bindings looked so weathered that they could have crumbled to the ground at any moment. The area was lit only by a few sputtered torches, but it was enough to see that they must be in a catacomb of some sort. The atmosphere in the subterranean tomb was even gloomier than it had been in the passages they had passed through to reach it. At its center stood a single silent man, wearing a black coat over his tattered army uniform. Alphonse had been leaning exhaustedly against Rose after their seemingly endless battles with the ghouls, but when he spied the familiar figure, he let out a mighty yell. "Elroy!" His voice boomed throughout the chamber, but the other man didn't flinch in the slightest. Instead, he calmly turned to face them. The air grew heavy with malevolence. "I've been expecting you," he said. Smiling, he regarded them with amusement. As his lips crept farther and farther up, his needle-sharp fangs were slowly revealed. They were stained a deep, wet red. And that concludes Chapter 10. Alright, good times. Okay, now we want to head to the Bracer Guild. Bracer Guild. Stay out and about. So of course this will advance the plot. Return to the guild and report. And I think there's going to be a boss fight, but I believe you have to lose it.
We're back.
So that's fun.
Today was so much fun!
Oh hey, welcome back.
Seems my timing could hardly have been better.
Michael McConaughey?
Huh? Father? When did you get back? When only Klaus came to greet us, I assumed I wouldn't be seeing you while I was in the ground.
Fortunately, I was able to take some time away from my engagements to see you and your class.
It's Michael McConaughey, by God.
And while I was in town, I also had some business to attend to with the guild, which is what brings me here.
They hugged it out.
It does my heart good to see you again, Laura. It seems you've grown since I last saw you.
Father, please don't treat me like a child. But it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
So that's the Radiant Blade Master. Laura's dad seems so cool. She sounds embarrassed, but I've rarely seen her so happy.
Ah, these must be your friends.
Right. These are my classmates from Class 7 and my partners in this field study.
Victor S.R. Xseed.
Then let me welcome you to Legram. I'm Viscount Xseed, the ruling lord here. My daughter has told me all about you in her letters. So it's a pleasure to finally be able to put faces to the names.
I bet she even told him about the controller throwing incident. Do 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 do. It's nighttime and such. We're eating dinner. I think those are crumpets. This is delicious. Oh, careful, Milliam. You're gonna drip sauce all over the table. Wow, so this is real Legram cuisine. I think I like everything on the table. You can say that again. This fatty meat has me thinking past seconds and all the way to thirds. Huh. That's roast wild boar. It's been a staple in many local dishes for generations. Is something troubling you, son of the House of Albarea? You seem to have brought your worries to the table tonight, but not your appetite. Well, it's just that I know my family has been causing you a lot of trouble, like Jack. Eustace? Is he... Oh, that. Just minor disagreements. You probably know it all too well. Conflicts over taxes among the nobility are sure as the rising of the sun. It's nothing to be so concerned about. Thank you for your kind words. But come, tell me of your day. I hear you fought Klaus this afternoon. And emerged victorious at that. We did, though I feel like he was holding back against us. Aha, nonsense, my lady. You and your classmates fought with the boldness of young lions. I look forward to seeing you soar to even greater heights. Ah, marvelous. I did have my hopes that you might choose to attend that girls' school in the capital. But you seem to have made some excellent friends at Thor's, so perhaps this is how things were meant to be. I feel the same. Laura. Reen, was it? I'm curious. I can sense fear in your swordsmanship. A certain hesitation. What? Father? The sword hermit, Yun Ka-Fa, in addition to being your master and the founder of the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade School. He's also a personal acquaintance of mine. In fact, I've requested a duel with him on numerous occasions. I see. If you'll forgive me for asking, who is the victor? Ha! The victor is yet to be decided. Pitting our respective philosophies against one another is such an engaging experience, we always lose track of time. To think there's a swordsman out there capable of fighting on equal terms with you. The world truly is a vast place. I can hardly imagine what a duel like that would be like. Huh, but getting back to what I was saying, the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade School draws its influence from elements of several other Eastern schools of swordsmanship. The style's philosophy has such depth, it's not difficult to see why one who masters it is known as a divine blade. But there's something about you, Rin, something that terrifies you so much that its mere shadow pins you in place. He's almost certainly referring to... I've occasionally gotten that impression myself. So this is the burden Rin carries. Indeed, it seems like whatever's happened in the old schoolhouse last month had something to do with it, but... You have me at a loss. I never would have imagined you'd be able to tell so much about me so easily. But thanks to that, I've made up my mind. What?
Say what?
Oh? My lord, I ask of you, as the Radiant Blade Master, would you grant me the honor of a duel? Uh-oh. That can't be good. We're gonna fight it out. Training hall.
Wow, this is mega cool! He's really gonna duel the Radiant Blade Master! But is he really strong enough to beat him?
He doesn't stand a chance. Receiving instruction from him would be one thing, but to duel a master like Viscount Xseed...
Looks like the odds aren't in his favor then.
Reem, please reconsider.
He's gonna get his ass whipped.
You too, Father. Stop this nonsense.
Please, Laura, stay out of this.
This duel is between Rin and myself. Stand aside. Are you certain this is what you want?
I am. It's an honor to have the opportunity to test my mettle against the renowned Radiant Blade Master. Thank you for accepting.
I admire your spirit. Now, show me what a swordsman of the 8 Leaves is capable of.
Anga? Oh, look at that sword!
What the...
Whoa! Amazing!
You can wield such a massive blade so deftly with just one hand?
Huh.
Unbelievable.
That's Galan Charl, a great sword that's been passed down in the Xseed family for generations. It was once wielded by the ancestor of our house, the second in command of the Eisenritter.
I can sense incredible power within him. He may be even stronger than my master.
Probably.
Which means that against him... Rin Schwarzer of the 8 Leaves 1 Blade School, beginner rank. I stand ready.
Victor S. Xseed, master and successor of the Xseed School. Ready.
Begin!
So you...
Now, Show me what you're capable of.
So you obviously
Here we
can't win this fight, but you want to make sure that you scan them. You know, before you get completely destroyed. Meh. Level 80! Damn! 65,500 HP. They may as well just made it 65,555 as an old school reference. The Xseed School's foremost practitioner, known as the Radiant Blade Master, wields a sword with inhuman strength. No elemental affinities or no drops. You know, because you literally can't beat him, so...
You'll not escape!
Radiant Spin! Oh!
My turn!
He actually didn't one-shot me, though, so that's something. Miss! Yeah, I don't think you can even hit him. I lost! I'm not very good at this game, didn't you know?
Ouch!
This is why I tried to stop them.
I could barely even see what happened.
It's not like Reen is weak.
It's more that his opponent's strength is so far beyond his.
What are you doing? This duel is not yet over. To your feet, at once.
Father?
I know you're capable of more than this. But if you're still too afraid to assert your true strength, then I have no choice but to force your hand.
Ooh.
Now, show me.
Show me your moves.
He disappeared?
Where'd he go?
No.
Too slow.
His hair turned gray. He became an old man all of a sudden.
Whoa!
This is...
Is this what Reen is afraid of?
His eyes are red.
Excellent. This is as it must be.
He hasn't been getting much sleep lately, apparently.
This is the power that slumbers deep within you. As long as you continue to cower in the face of it, you'll remain forever at a standstill.
He's having a heart attack again! Somebody call an ambulance!
I want to see your true potential. Now.
I don't think you need to scan him again. I hit him! Not for much.
Now. 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 You'll not escape!
Oh! Defeated.
Reen!
His silver hair went away.
Reen! Wow! That duel was crazy!
Yeah. Though it all makes sense now. Why Reen asked the Viscount for a duel in the first place.
You fool. You shouldering such a burden alone all this time?
Are you alright, Reen?
Father, there was no need to go that far.
I'm fine. he held back. I admit defeat. I'm honored to have seen the Radiant Blade Master's signature technique.
Have a taste of my superior technique.
I think you're finally starting to understand. What we call power is simply a measure of one's raw strength. Without knowing how to properly apply it, it has no real meaning. However, when you deny the power you already possess, you're only shortchanging yourself.
You're right. I feel like I finally get what my master was trying to teach me about the laws of nature. But I'm afraid understanding that is only going to make me even more uncertain.
Reen.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. Stand up, dust yourself off, and step forward. Grapple with that fear each day if that's what it takes. Uncertainty weighs on the hearts of all people, but it's far preferable to standing still.
You know, because standing still sucks. I hate standing still. It blows. We're sleeping, didn't you know? Well, most of us. It's Emma!
The mist seems to have cleared. So, that's the Saint's castle. You can't come out right now. Someone might notice you.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. The Radiant Blade Master may be scarily perceptive, but I doubt he'll notice my little moonlit stroll. Honestly. Well, what do you think? I'm not sure how much we can count on the boy. It seems he's finally found what he needs to move past what's been holding him back. But I'm still not certain he's going to make it in time. That's not for us to decide.
With a beep?
Our role is to watch over and guide him, nothing more. I don't want you to do anything like that ever again. Fine, fine. Setting that aside for now. I'm sure you've already sensed it, but there's definitely something inside that castle. That place is out of our jurisdiction, but I have a bad feeling about this one. Me too. I suppose all we can do is point Laura toward it and hope she notices too.
Bum, 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 bum. Shenanigans be afoot and such. And then the morning comes. Quest report. We're already at the max rank, so it doesn't really matter, but still.
Keep up the good work!
Okay. I plan to.